My name is Sandra Merritt, and this is my Module 4 assignment for Dr. Crosby at Georgia Southwestern. So, Module 4 is really concentrated on standard number 4 for the teacher leadership standards, and a very, very elementary explanation of it is that you are leading others in the building as they are working through their work, and it can be behavioral, it could be curriculum, it could be empowering other leaders, lots of things, but essentially you're guiding that work. And for this model, the student or the other teacher that I chose to work with actually came to me, so I didn't have to search or do a lot of prodding or asking. So this particular teacher is currently a 7th grade teacher, and she teaches 7th grade science, which is life science in middle school. She's been teaching for 3.5 years. She came her first year to our school. All 3.5 years have been at our school. She came to us on the TAP program. And her first year, she did a half a year in 6th grade science. Her second year, she did a year in 8th grade science. And she was moved to 7th grade science, and this is her second year in 7th grade science. So really this is her first year that she has been kind of stable and has been teaching the same thing and has not been like new to the curriculum. Because of that, she has different goals than she had clearly her first couple of years when she was just trying to establish herself in the curriculum, kind of learn the standards, kind of master how to teach those standards. And because she was very excited starting out this year, because this is the first year that she's worked with the same curriculum twice in a row, and she can start perfecting her craft rather than just kind of keeping her head above water. So she has done that very well this year, and she has come to me and asked for some behavioral supports for her students. She said at the beginning of the year things were going good, and about January things started being a little bit more challenging. Things meaning the student behaviors started becoming a little bit more challenging. And now that the weather is warmer and spring has hit, the students' behavior have been more challenging. So she's asked me to come in and kind of guide her through the process of helping her kind of shore up her classroom management and behavior. So that is the challenge that she asked me to help her with. Also, a little bit of background. She is from the millennial generation, since that was something that was asked at the assignment. But she is very easy to work with. She wants to learn. She wants to do a really great job. She is a little bit older coming into the profession. When she first came to this country about 10 years ago from India, she had some challenges. She was not really thinking about teaching or education, and then things happened, and she went back to school, and she decided that that's what she wanted to do, was to teach. So we are glad to have her. and she's doing a really great job because she's so willing to learn. She really wants to do a good job. She wants to be the best that she can be for her students. So moving on to what we've actually done. So the first meeting or the first session that I had with her, she just came to me and told me specifically that her challenges were that she was trying to kind of be proactive because she had noticed that the students were more restless. They were less willing to follow directions, and before it became a huge deal, she wanted some supports with that. So I just kind of took notes and listened to her concerns, and we talked about the specific behaviors that she was most concerned about. And so I came up with kind of a plan in my head, but not the actual plan that I presented to her. But I did come up with a plan. Now, that particular piece kind of ties into Noel's adult learning theory, specifically self-concept, because she is wanting to learn the material. She knows what she wants to learn, and has reached out to get that information. So we started out with that session. So then we moved on to session 2 the second week. So I asked her specifically, like, well, what are your current rules and procedures? And so we kind of took a look at the rules and procedures, and I asked her several guiding questions. So what about these rules and procedures have become a challenge to your students? And through talking through it, we found 2 sources of not problems, but things that we could work on. And one thing was she was consistent at the beginning, but she was no longer consistent with following the steps or the procedures, which is kind of common. So I told her, well, let's write down your steps. So so that the students, like, you were following them consistently, so the students at the beginning of the semester would know them because they were consistent, but maybe they need a verbal and a visual reminder. These are the steps. And not only the students, but sometimes we can forget where we are or what we're doing as far as the steps and the procedures. So it's just a good thing to have for everybody. So the first thing that I had suggested was that we write down those steps and have them posted in the classroom, not just the PBIS expectations, but also when you don't meet those expectations, what the students can expect from that. So we created a poster with the steps, and then I asked her about a reward system. Do you currently have a reward system? Do you have a way to ensure that the students know that when they are following the rules and they are doing what is needed, that they are, recognized for that? And she said once a month she would give the students some sort of treat for good behavior. And so I asked her, well, what would constitute a good behavior to you? In other words, how do you keep up with it and make sure it's consistent? And she did not have a process for that. So I suggested several things that she could do. One would be to track it in some way on paper. A digital tracking might be easier. And I gave her those 2 suggestions, and she thought that maybe a Google form might be the best. And so we created that together. And then I just kind of stepped back and gave her some time to implement it. Now, the implementation of it goes back to Noel's adult learning as well, specifically the readiness to learn. So um, she is going to implement it. She's going to take the strategy. She's going to try it and make it her own, and try to implement. So what she did was kind of gathered everything, used the poster we created, used the form that we created, and started doing this consistently with her students. The third session that we did do this past week was kind of a brainstorm of what went well, what didn't go well, what parts of it still need to be kind of tweaked or done. And she was very pleased with it, especially the fact that now all she has to do is say, okay, you're on step 1, or okay, you're on step 2. And it eliminates a lot of the confusion because the students know exactly what to expect. But she did say that she was still having some challenges with cell phone use and students being willing to put up cell phones. So I gave her a paper bag strategy. So instead of taking the cell phone away, even though a lot of times if you ask the student to put it in a bag, and they can hold the phone, except it's in a bag and then you staple it and they can't get it out. They're more willing to give up their cell phone without any kind of classroom disturbance, distraction. And then that way she can move on and the flow of class continues. The student is not on their cell phone, and you can address the bigger issue that they're not even supposed to have it later, and you're not losing any instructional time for it. We will meet again very soon to discuss how that went. And I think ultimately I'm going to ask her to kind of present on her own, which is going to make her somewhat uncomfortable. But I think sometimes she sells herself short because she's a very great teacher, and she thinks because she has limited experience that somehow negates the fact that she's doing a really, really great job. So my plan is that after we kind of implement this and get it going, that I help grow her as a leader as well by asking her to present to others.